everybody, hope you are all doing wonderfully on this fine Sunday afternoon. Just to double check, this is something I tend to do before a stream. Can you all hear me okay? Can you all hear the music? Are the levels balanced all right? If you could just drop a comment in the chat, let me know that everything is coming through okay, and if so, we shall get started. Jonathan Young, good morning. Odd-Sided Dice Podcast, good to see you. Alice Morris, hello. Jonathan Young, classical pop music. Music loud, you are low. Right, okay. How's about now? How does this sound? That's better. Excellent. Brilliant. So, welcome everyone to this stream, a live Zbrush tutorial for virtually Expo, UK Games Expo. So, for those of you who are completely new, my name is Alex Huntley. I am the founder of Warpluck Miniatures, and we specialise in fantasy miniatures for collectors, painters and gamers. Now, the vast majority of the stuff that we produce is hand sculpted, specifically for my tabletop fantasy battle game Arcworld 2nd edition, but since lockdown happened, I've essentially taught myself Zbrush in addition to my hand sculpted stuff, and I now run kind of a Patreon as well as my web store, which allows me to produce digital miniatures for you people at home who have 3D printers. Now, everything that I make is on, at least for Digital Workshop, which is the name of the kind of the 3D printable range that I've started, is done on Zbrush. And as I said before, today we are going to make a model from scratch on Zbrush. Now, what I'm hoping to make over the next 2 hours or so, might go a little bit over. I am committed to staying on until the model is finished. I will be making a Bullywug King, or a Frog Prince. I haven't decided quite what I'm going to call him yet. To lead the latest batch of models for my Patreon, sorry, Force of Habit, for my Patreon. So next month, September, I'm releasing a range of bullywugs, or little frog guys, for those who aren't into D&D lore, and I thought it would be quite cool to have like kind of a big fat frog prince to be leading them, and that's what we're going to be making today. Now, I normally, when I'm doing these sculpting things, I'll be kind of chattering away and stuff like that, but I'll kind of stay relatively quiet whilst I'm working, unless obviously you guys do have questions and stuff like that. If you are interested in asking some questions, I'll absolutely answer them. Please drop a comment in the chat and I will answer them to the best of my ability. David Blowers, please turn the music down some more. I think that's literally as low as I can get it until it turns off. Does that sound better for you? Cool, actually, what I'll do, so I don't have to keep on kind of flipping between the screen and the chat, it is on my to-do list to get a dual screen. I'm going to go and grab my laptop and have the chat open on there so I can more easily converse with everyone watching. Be right back. Cool. So I'm now in the process of getting the chat up on my laptop, and so we shall begin. Now, I know a lot of sculptors do tend to work from concept art and things like that, particularly, obviously, commission sculptors. But for me personally, I have a general idea in my head of what I want to make, but I try not to kind of like solidify anything down, like, because I do enjoy kind of letting the model kind of evolve and develop and kind of, you know, basically it's a fancy way of saying make it up as I go along, because, you know, I have tried kind of doing perfect kind of sketches and then doing, you know, perfect copies, but I do find it can be quite limiting, because you kind of hold yourself to this standard. Oh, it has to look like the drawing, or, you know, I haven't done a good job. So I tend to, you know, if I do need to do art for a model, this is more for Arcworld than for Digital Workshop. I tend to do it after the model has been made. I mean, obviously, you know, there are times where I will sketch an idea just to kind of get something down on paper. But 9 times out of 10, I do just make the model up as I go along. And Morris, just popping in to wish you all the best for the Zbrush tutorial, Alex. I then have to pop off to get a family get together. That sounds nice. Hope it goes okay, and everyone enjoys the digital witchcraft. Enjoy. Thank you very much. Dagfin, what is the idea behind these frogs, and where do you want them to go? So I'm going for more of a tribal theme with these guys than perhaps most other bullywugs that I've seen, at least the artwork. Kind of a big inspiration for me for these guys is the kind of the fifth, I think it's Warhammer 5th edition skinks. So, like, from the Lizardmen range. So I'm not going the whole kind of Aztec vibe at all, but very much kind of blowpipes and spears and kind of tortoise shelly shields and stuff. So all the kind of his kind of minions I have already sculpted, and they are actually the first test print of those is running off as we speak. But with this guy, I mean, all those guys, they're all multi-part. But for the Frog Prince, as it were, I'm going to make him as like a single character piece, which is generally that's how I like to sculpt models. But a lot of the feedback that I'm getting from the backers, the patrons for my digital range, is that they really like multi-part kits, so they can, you know, print off whole armies of, you know, models, and, you know, they've got different arms and different heads and things like that, and poses and stuff. Like slan? No, not quite like a slan. Kind of more like a skink, but this guy, he's going to be a lot more kind of bloated, like a big old bullfrog. So let's get cracking, So we start here with just a ball. So this is quite an old version of Zbrush. So if you guys who are more accustomed to the higher end versions, this might look a bit archaic to you, but here we go. So this is just a ball. I went with the Dynamesh 64 one there, and the start of any sculpt, I just get the move tool and literally just start pulling bits. So I've got, when you first load this, the symmetry is automatically on, just because it helps kind of flesh it out to start off with. So I think I'm going to... So one of the most useful tools you can use when sculpting is the smooth tool. Now you'd get that by pressing down on Shift whilst you're moving, just about what brush you're using, and it'll literally kind of smooth it all down like that. So let's start pulling out the body here. Ah yes, I'll turn off perspective. It's just a personal preference. So I'm going to make him quite a big, thick boy. So there we have a kind of a basic froggy shape. Next I'll do the arms. So we'll go to insert, and then I'll insert another sphere. And use this as a very, very important section. It's called deformation, and essentially allows you to do more, I guess, controlled modifications to a subtool, which is what each of these components are called. So offset, for example, kind of moves it from side to side. Size can shrink it down. And then all these other ones, like, the only thing I can recommend is to just have a faff with them, have a play about, see what they do. But then all of these modifications work on the axis. Yeah, so I'm moving this in the Z-axis, I'm moving it now in the Y-axis, so the X-axis before, and then the Z-axis there. So move that down. That looks like pretty much where the arm's going to be. Then I'll get back into the move tool. I just want to stretch it out. So we'll be reposing and the model. Once we bulk it out a little bit. Now this is a very important point. So when you're working with ZBrush, what you're essentially working with is like a balloon, and this balloon is comprised of polygons, which are two-dimensional shapes that link together to form the three-dimensional shape. And when you manipulate this mesh, those polygons stretch to accommodate those changes. Now as you can see here, the polygons that originally were in this very very perfect sphere, I've now teased and pulled them out, and you can see that they've distorted and stretched accordingly. Now if I click on this button here, it'll I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. You can see the shapes of all those polygons, and they've all become quite kind of distorted. Now, one of the most important tools that I've found, that I personally use, is the Dynamesh tool. So what the Dynamesh tool does, it essentially recalculates all of the polygons on the skin of this particular object and makes it so that they are regular again. So you don't have this kind of weird tearing looking texture. So you might be able to see it on here. So just polish also allows you to kind of like tighten things up a bit and polish it, and then you can set the resolution of how many polygons you want. So if you want it to go super detailed, then you crank that number up, but it does start to affect your computer's processing speed and stuff like that. So only really crank that up if you've in the final stages of the sculpt, because if you start working at ridiculous resolutions from the start, unless you've got a beast of a machine, chances are it's going to be quite laggy and difficult. So I'll just have quite a low resolution here, click Dynamesh, and as you can see, it's essentially reconfigured the mesh there, so it's all relatively irregular. It doesn't look like he's wearing fishnet gloves there. Very nice. I'll just cut off, and yeah, you can see that kind of streaking texture on his arm there has disappeared. So I'm going to make one of the legs. Now, rather than doing that whole process again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the arm and then bring it down to about here, and then I'm going to use the move tool just to essentially tweak and change it into more of a froggy leg. Now, another way that you can manipulate an item is by using these guys up here. So rotate, you draw essentially a line where you want the axis of rotation to be, the axis being here. Ooh. And then you can bring that down like that. Then go back to draw. So you can see I'm just kind of teasing out the shape of the leg. And then his big old frog feet. Now this is where you can see the polygons on this are starting to stretch again, and if I do it too much they'll start to tear. So before I do crack on, I'm going to re-Dynamesh that so it's become smooth, and then I can start pulling that out again. But it's probably going to take quite a bit of time to actually pull that out, so instead what I'm going to do is use the clay build-up tool. So essentially this, I'll show it here, slaps on or replicates the effect of slapping on clay to this. I just need to tweak a particular setting. So this is something that I do personally. So back face mask. So if I was to do this on a very thin bit of membrane like here, essentially it affects the reverse side as well, because once again, remember, this is essentially a balloon, so it affects both sides. You get this like horrible effect here. But by using back face mask, it essentially removes the effect of the brush on the opposite side of the object. So when I do this again, you can see that that remains the same, and I can start to bring out this foot. Now you can see once again like the polygons here aren't particularly happy, so I'll just be bulking out this and then I'll Dynamesh it again. And then there's still a few kind of weird tears and things, so I'll use the smooth tool just to kind of give it more of a smooth surface. Now back to the move, and I'm going to start pulling out some toes. So we're just working on rough shapes at the moment. You can see I just need to kind of bring this up a little bit. It's not perfectly flat, but when I start to pose him, I'll chop and change this. So at the moment we've got something that looks like this. Then I'll start to kind of what I would normally do is I would fully sculpt this arm, fully sculpt this leg, and then kind of mirror it. But just so we've got a better idea of the pose, we're going to duplicate these. And then I'm going to mirror them like this. Like that. So back to the main body. I think I'm going to make him a big old fat frog boy. So give him a big old belly like that. Maybe bring his back in a little bit just to kind of show that he is carrying that extra weight. And then I think a big kind of throat sack would be quite fun as well. Now you can see here that it's starting to the polygons are starting to show, so I'm going to Dynamesh. Then sometimes you can Dynamesh too high resolution, so it actually still shows the polygons of where it was before, but it's put in the shape of the polygon, so that's it does go to quite high detail. What I'm going to do is I'm going to polish, and hopefully, it's a little bit better, but I'll just use the smooth brush just to get in there. Right, my laptop still isn't working, so I'll just take a little break to see if there's anything on the chat. Oh, nope, nothing on the chat. You guys are quite happy with letting me natter on. Cool. Right, so I think normally what I would do is kind of mirror everything like this, so I don't have to sculpt everything, and that's what I normally do when I'm constructing components like a head and things that can be mirrored. But because this guy is going to be a one-piece model, I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. So I think I'm going to take this leg here. Now I've been told that the new edition of Zbrush has a much better rotation tool, because this is notoriously difficult to try and use. So I think, yeah. So I think like that, yeah. then I think I'm going to bring this foot forward. But maybe a bit to the side here. And then I'll kind of sculpt this belly around. Now I'll also kind of work on those feet. Then with the arm, at least the right arm, I think I'm going to have him kind of gesturing wildly, kind of like a forward pose. Yeah, I can work with that. And then give him some kind of club or hammer or something of that ilk. And then with this arm, I think I might give him like something that he's eating, like a grub or another frog or something, because to me, like, he very much is like this gluttonous figure. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll kind of move actually no. I'll leave it like this for now. I'm gonna have it clutched in his hand like this. But I am going to make this like that, and then I'll sculpt his weapon separately and pop it in there. Then just going to change the feet. Like that. And then I'll put a kind of placeholder thing in for his weapon. So yeah, I'm also going to give him a crown of some kind. So kind of pop that on there for now. Maybe a little bit smaller. Ooh. There we go. And then duplicate that. So I'll make the size smaller, but then the bigger. Just reduce the thickness of it, and then so it kind of looks like, it'll kind of look like this. So I'm thinking of like a big fat frog prints kind of thing, full of food, waddling about with a big club. Kind of very King K. Rool from Donkey Kong type. So before I do anything else, we're going to drop down a save, because there is nothing more heartbreaking than losing an hour's work. There we go. So, let's have a look at the chat. Flalian, we're just silent observers. Jonathan Young, come for the tutorial, stay for the nettering. Major More, you get free upgrades with Zbrush. You should be able to just download it. Oh, okay, I'll look into that. Dagfin, a staff with a skull tied to the tip and fetish dangling from it. Lol, yeah, he needs some foodstuffs. How about a dragonfly or a fat beetle in his offhand and have the tongue stick out to grab it? That is a very good idea, Dagfin. I might end up doing that. Right. So back to the sculpt. Now, because I've pretty much kept the body bang on in the middle, I can still use the mirror option, which will make things a hell of a lot easier. So I'm going to start just building up the eyes. I think I'll give him a little piggy nose. Some nice big jowls. Some stuff down the side. Then maybe some froggy man boobs. Maybe I'll work on. I think because the way that his spine will work, once I've kind of done a lot of the kind of the design on him, I'll kind of tweak this so it follows the direction of the hip, which would be here. So I'll just smooth everything out. So I think I'm going to up the Dynamesh resolution a tad, so I can be able to really start getting in the details. Now, my new favourite brush is one that I have downloaded. You can find this online. It's called Orb Cracked, and it's with this that I can really start to get in some of those recesses. Now, normally I would be using like pure circles for the eyes. I guess I could. Problem is because I'll be moving him around and reposing him and stuff like that. Yeah, bugger it. I'm going in. So just making a nice socket for the eyeballs. Insert a sphere up the resolution a tad. Just slightly off, so reduce the size a little bit. And then bring it forwards. There we go, I think. Nah, because he's quite big. Yeah. So I shall duplicate this and mirror. So now we have two beautiful baby blue eyes. And I'll just merge them together so that they'll always stay in that kind of position. So now we get to play about with the rest of the face. This is the really fun part, and this is when you start to really see the character come to life. So already, you can kind of see his furious little fat eyes. Add a bit more to the wattle. I'm sure it's not called a wattle for a frog, but for this guy I'm going to stick with wattle. Bring up some little nostrils for him. quite a long kind of bulbous tongue at the end. You can see because I've been stretching those polygons, starting to look a bit funky, so I think it's almost time for me to do another Dynamesh. There we go, and then I can just smooth this down. But I don't know, gang, I feel like those eyes might be a little bit too close together. I think I need to bring them further apart here to kind of keep him consistent with the other bullywugs that I've made for the pack. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Might have to start again, or see if I can no, it's not letting me. I'm gonna have to start again, unfortunately. There's still quite a bit of stuff that I have yet to learn. Actually, no, I know what I can do. Just rotate the other ball inside the body. Ooh. To make it a bit smaller. But like let's try with this. The great thing about Zbrush that traditional sculpting doesn't have is that you can, if you do something and you don't quite like it, you can just you know, undo it, which is a real benefit. Ha ha ha. I can actually see the chat now. So, duplicate and mirror. So there we go. Right, let's see if I can make it look a tad bit better. I think it's definitely starting to look more like a frog, rather than like a big fat goblin. Which, you know, I guess he is. Quite like these, like the eyes being a bit more buggy. So I'll merge again. Ooh. No, not that one. So I think just need to I think I know what's gone wrong here now. So I know I need to kind of smooth this down here. Like that, and then have this kind of ridge in the middle. And then concentrate more. There we go. That looks more like a frog, doesn't it, gang? However, I am starting to get a little, you know, I feel like it's time to go off piste and start getting in there without the symmetry, because I do find that if you do concentrate too much on symmetry, especially on like a single piece model, it can look a little boring, a little dull. You know, there are little ways you can give a model so much more character by making it not as symmetrical. That's what I'm going to have a go at today. So first of all, we'll start bringing adding a bit more like pendulousness to the body, make it a little bit more lopsided. Kind of give him more of a snarl. And then with the tongue in particular, might actually be better to do the tongue as a separate piece, actually. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'll cut out his tongue. Don't worry, it will be coming back. I'll use this guy again, duplicate. There we go. It's more like it. So make it. Much bigger kind of although I think I'm going to move it to one side just so it doesn't cut off too much of the body. Something like this, yeah. There we go. That's better. There we have more of a frog-like tongue. And now that I've moved the body a tad, I'm going to just change the legs slightly, give him more of a kind of a power stance. I'll tighten all this up later on. And then this hand, I think I'm going to kind of have it like this, or maybe a bit more forwards. I don't know, we'll get to that hand later. But I'm much happier with the overall pose of the model. I think it looks a lot more natural now that we've added a little bit of a symmetry to it. Got lots of like warts and things on there. Go. It's better. Cool. Right, I'll just going to drop down a save. Then we can get more into the face, which is always the most fun part. So, I imagine this chubby little chap is going to be quite angry. do I want to bring the entire front of his face out a tad? I think so. Just do some smoothing up, because he's still a frog after all. Want to make sure that his skin is nice. I think I'll give him some eye bags. Build up the bottom jaw quite a bit as well. That's where I was going wrong. as Davin was saying, I needed to properly make the eyes on the side of the head. See, that's a lot of sculpting, not just digitally sculpting, but any kind of sculpting is kind of just tweaking and fiddling and faffing about. It's whatever looks best. Pa wants me to give him like a really big fat bottom lip. Thanks for stopping by, David. Glad you enjoyed yourself, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. one thing I always struggle with. I never know where to put the nostrils. See, yeah, I think that makes him look a bit too wrinkly. So at the end of the day, he is still a froggy boy. Ah, yes, Humulus Milk. This is, in fact, the big chunky boy we were talking about. So he's the Frog Prince. And he is very big. And very chunky. So, I'm thinking he's probably going to be on a 40mm base. Because one of the things that I wanted to do with this particular range is make it viable to use in Ark World as the Beast Folk. So in my hand-sculpted range, the game that I make, Ark World 2nd Edition, there is a faction called the Beast Folk, who are kind of anthropomorphic animals, and normally they are of, you know, loads of different types and species and things. But I thought it would be quite fun if the guys who printed off these bullywugs could use them in Ark World as well. Coming together now. Took a little while, but so yeah, I think I'm going to keep it more like this. Valiant, there are no Ark-World lizard men yet. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I do feel like something is missing. I'm going to try something drastic here, gang. That's it. That's what was missing. He needs to be leaning forwards a little bit. I think he's leaning too far back. So, I'm going to rotate him on his wrong one. Wrong one again. There we go. That's looking a lot more menacing, I think. However, this does make it difficult that we have to. I mean, the tongue itself won't be difficult to move. And I feel like this leg could do with a bit of a twisty twist. There we go. And the hat. But I think, to be honest, I'm just going to delete the eyes and put in new ones. Actually, that's not that far off. Yes, now we're talking. Now we're talking. But I think, just to spice things up a bit, make the eyes slightly. There we go. Humorless Milk, have you thought to maybe have the body on the floor, making the legs more prone and ready to jump? I would, but have you seen the size of this guy? I think maybe his jumping days are long over, and he might be leaving a lot of the jumping to his many minions. So I think I'll start working on the arm. So I think I'll dynamesh this. Cool. Sorry about that, folks. Just had to get my laptop charger. So just bulking out his arm there. Now the question is, should I have, because I was thinking of doing like a beetle or something like that he was eating. Do you think that the beetle should be in his left hand or kind of wrapped around his tongue there? What do you think, folks? Whilst I'm waiting for you to decide, I'm going to start making his pants. Jonathan Young is saying maybe in his tongue. So this is going to be his loincloth. Humorless milk, I'd go with hand poking out of his mouth maybe. The tongue is a cool part of the mini on its own. Yeah, it's quite a good idea actually, having like wings and legs and stuff like that in his mouth. I think I'm probably going to go sculpt the hand open and then perhaps do the sculpt the bugs separately and then pop them in. And then, you know, I could actually include the bugs as separate pieces for you guys to print out at home. So you could have them on the model, you could have on your models, you could have them on the bases of the models when you base them up and stuff like that. You know, as the Patreon grows, and hopefully as I can afford to dedicate more time to it over the next few months, fingers crossed, I'm really interested in looking into more kind of custom add-on bits and things for each of the releases, stuff for the bases, stuff for, you know, terrain and things like that. So if things continue to go the way they are going, which, you know, is amazing, like I'm so grateful for all of you folks who have backed the Patreon already. You know, you've allowed me to really, you know, dedicate the time to develop a completely new craft, completely new skill, and it's, you know, allowed me to really expand. So thank you so much. You know, hopefully things will continue to grow and develop and get even better and better. And I have so many cool ideas for you folks in the future. You know, one of the great things about Patreon, and it's something that I've not really had before, it's like a steady, like a guaranteed source of income. Because one of the things about, you know, because I am full-time, I have been full-time sculptor and game person since I left university, which was 5 years ago. And, you know, my financial security has always been based on Kickstarters and trade shows and stuff like that. So, but particularly with trade shows, you know, with the current situation, it was definitely a big worry of mine that I wouldn't be able to do things, have as much kind of financial security, because I wasn't going to those big trade shows. You know, I was booked in to go to Adepticon, I was booked in to go to Salute, and obviously UK Games Expo. But one of the great things that has come out of it is that it has allowed me to set this Patreon, and this Patreon has, you know, for the first time has given me, you know, monthly guaranteed income, which is amazing. And you know, it's one of the reasons why Patreon is such a good platform for creators, is that for most creatives, you know, especially if you're self-employed, that having a steady income is an amazing treat. Absolutely. So are any of you guys in the chat, are you creatives yourselves? Do you prefer to keep your geek stuff as a hobby? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Really need to figure out where to put those. nostrils. Still not decided, I'll leave it to later. Jonathan Young, I'm full-time staff at university, creative as a hobby, but wouldn't mind someday switching. Brilliant, so what would you like to switch into? Dagfin, it's hobby only, could never create enough or on a regular basis to grant any significant income. Humorless Milk, never tried sculpting before, really would love to be able to do it. Jonathan Young might ever get past just his hobby. Milk, just go and get some classes like on Skillshare and at your own pace. Absolutely. So, you know, I only started sculpting digitally, what, 6 months ago? That was the first time that I properly started getting into it. I mean, I dabbled before. One of my, because I teach traditional sculpting, and one of my ex-students offered to kind of show me the ropes a few years ago, but it never really quite clicked with me. But Dan at Lion Tower Miniatures helped me kind of get started. Also, you know, YouTube is a great resource for any kind of skill, you know, when you're starting out. So I would definitely recommend that. Humorless Milk hobby for me too. If I could sculpt print monsters of D&D, that would be a great achievement. Good idea, Jonathan. I keep hearing about Skillshare, though, YouTubers and the like, but never actually thought of doing it myself. Farlian, I have been interested in 3D sculpting for some time now, learned Blender, Substance Painter, etc. Now I'm looking to adopt a style similar to Paul Bonner's and start printing stuff. Absolutely, sounds great. Cool, right, so I think it's really bugging me now. I cannot get where I want those nostrils to be. That one's looking okay. I'm going to keep it there for now. I'm not going to change anything else. Let's drop a save down. Cool. I think what I'll do next is I will start with the crown. So in Zbrush, one of the great things that you can do is you can essentially sculpt different components at, separately. So these bits here I just popped in as like a placeholder. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a different part, sculpt the crown, because these are frog prince. The prince needs a crown, and then to his scepter or weapon or whatever I end up deciding to give him. So for the crown, I'm going to start with a cylinder, just to kind of give him something to kind of base it around. But I'm not actually going to have the cylinder in the crown. So I'm just going to move. Actually, no, that's not what I'm going to do. So bring the size down. Taper. So what I'm going to do is it's essentially going to be like a crown made of tusks and things. So I'm just going to make the opposite way. There we go. Like that. Pull away. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. There we go. Then S bend, so I'll bend it a little bit like that. There we go. So if I bring the cylinder back, this guy here. So there we go. Then duplicate. Do it again. Ooh, wrong one. Whew. how can I rotate that? No. Let's give this a go, right? No, it did not work. Oh, I think I know what to do. Yeah, there we go. Right, just check the chat. Jonathan Young, Alex, I would like to do something creative instead of plugging away doing office work. I am really enjoying learning 3D sculpting, so this would be ideal. Absolutely, like, you can really make quite rapid progress, especially with digital stuff, because you don't have to pay for materials, you don't have to pay for, I mean, obviously you've got the cost of the setup of the software, but it really is just about kind of plugging away, making sure you're getting lots of feedback from your peers. I think that's very important. It can be very easy to kind of be stuck in your own little bubble and not get any feedback. You know, you kind of carry on doing the same thing, and you get into bad habits. So yeah, definitely start posting on forums and things to get feedback. Sorry, I was just concentrating there. Right. So we should rotate 45 degrees. I think shall we shrink it down a tad. I think not rotate, sorry. No. How do I bring you out? Nope. Kind of there? Kind of there. That'll do. As you can see, the crown is starting to form. Let's drop a save. Farley and Jonathan Young, be sure to check out the Trudvang Legends board game then. They did a wonderful job with the miniatures. Cool. Major Moore, do you ever retoplagize Polagaes. Retapolagaes? Is that to do with topology? Or do you stick? I always stick with Dynamesh. Like that's to be honest, that's the first time I've ever really heard of it. Like so if you could kind of tell me more about it, that would be greatly appreciated. Right, so I think one there. Actually. Just so it's much easier to print and you're not having to deal too much with faffy bits. There we go. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is there we go. Cool, right, so there we go. It's not perfect, but I think it'll definitely be good enough for the scale that we're printing at. I think it's one of the other things that you learn when you're doing miniatures specifically is where or how to avoid wasted detail. Because, you know, when you're making something, especially on digital, you don't particularly have this problem when you're doing stuff by hand. But when you're making digital and everything is like this big, you can kind of really go ham in with all the little details and things. But then when you realise when people are going to print it, it's this big, you realise you don't have to worry too much. Actually, I think what I'm going to use is standard. A little less intensity. Freehand. Let's try this. I think I'll de-inflate a tad. Actually, no, keep it like that. Maybe succumbing to my own rule here, but I think that should be okay for now. Like I can add more detail on if I fancy. To go back to Mr. Big over here. So let's delete his hat. And let's give him a swanky new one. now crown thee King of the Frog People. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I think he looks rather swanky. Although, I might be tempted to do even smaller. Haha, there we go. Something really just funny about tiny little crowns. What do you think, folks? Keep the crown small. Have it slightly bigger, or have it massive like this. And if that is the case, then I'll go back into the model and add a bit more detail. What do you think, guys? Jonathan Young retopologize. Major More, it's where you rebuild the geometry by hand or automatically so you can use subdivisions and add more detail. To be honest, Major More, I don't even use subdivisions. Like, I purely work with Dynamesh. That's just what I do. I'm not sure what the pros and cons are of stuff like that, but it's worked so far for me. Humorless Milk. Alex, leading on from what you said earlier, are you going to have arm or torso options? So one holding a bug, one not, one holding the staff, the other something else. Not for this guy. So for the standard bullywugs, they are for kind of multi-part, but with the kind of the leader, I'm just going for a single model, like a single piece. Because, like, for me personally as a creator, I much prefer doing one piece, you know, kind of character models. Like, one of the things that I feel like I sacrifice when I do make multi-part stuff is the fact that everything has to fit, everything has to, like, kind of be more standardized. Whereas when you're working with a single piece model, you can be a lot more weird and wacky with it. So for this, yeah, just one piece. There won't be any kind of options, but you can obviously convert it however you wish. Yeah, tiny crown it is. Ooh, now that's a thing. So what? Tiny crown like this, or tiny crown like this. So do we make the crown even tinier? Actually, I do quite like that. Yeah, I think that's him. The itty bitty tiny one is awesome. So you mean like even that one there? So let's say this is option number 1. This is option number 2. Which looks funnier? also, I think this has just occurred to me that this would be much funnier as well. Just need to, like, there we go. Kind of like he's waddling quickly towards you. Like, I think I would have to bulk, maybe give a bit more of a base on the foot that is down here, just so it's a lot easier. It gives it a bit more stability and stuff like that. But I do think, yeah, now we're cooking. Oop. Still, I think this is just quite. There we go, that's better. But now I feel like it needs to be even more kind of slightly tilted. So what I'm gonna do is now we are definitely cooking. Nope, wrong one. Yeah. Mwah! Bellissimo. Just move this leg up here. There we go. Look how silly he looks now. So I'm just gonna bulk up his legs a tad, just to give it a bit more support. Then when I do put this model to print for you guys, I'll probably do like a base around. Although actually, to be fair, that foot, once I've properly worked on it, is going to be quite big, so I'm not sure if we will need too much extra support. As for the hand, is that in the right place? Could we still add a little bit more? Yeah, just that little raise there has just done wonders for the dynamism of the figure. Maybe if I just... oh no. Ooh, whoa there, shit. Oh, but that looks even better. You know what I was going to do is I was going to try and rotate it so that the fingers, you can see the fingers a little bit more. Yeah, I think we've got it, gang. Is that tongue too much in the way? Should I bring the tongue down a little bit? Now this is you know, this is one of the amazing things about Zbrush, that you can, you know, right up until the end, you know, I'd say we're probably about 65% way through this sculpt. You can still do so much to try and like chop and change and tweak it and things, just, you know, which you just don't have that freedom when working with a traditional model, at least not the way that I sculpt it anyway. I'm sure if you use like oven baked clays and things, there's still quite a lot of kind of posing, but because I do use green stuff and milliput. Handsome. So with that, I think I'm probably going to call it a day in terms of the stream. Now I did say that I was going to do the whole model. I think I was being a little bit over ambitious with that. You know, we've been on for about 2.5 hours. I think I'm going to have a bit of a break. Go have my dinner or lunch, depending on where you're from, and then I'm probably going to have another crack at it later on this afternoon. But I think in 2.5 hours. Ooh, where's the tongue gone? There we go. Yeah, I think in 2.5 hours, it's quite good. Definitely done a lion's share of the work, and I'll keep you all updated on the progress of the sculpt. So, to all of you watching at home, thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. Hope you enjoyed, you know, just sitting down, chilling a chat, and seeing how I go about making a miniature. Now, if you are interested in my digital work, you can visit my Patreon. The link is in the bottom of the video, and it is only $10 a month to download each of my month's releases. So this current month, it's focusing on dwarves. So we have a dwarf king. We've got some capybara riders and some kind of elite armored dwarves. So if dwarves are your thing, check it out. But as you can see here, next month I'll be looking at bullywugs, so some nice froggy boys. So yep, so you can download all of them for only $10 a month. If you're interested in my hand sculpted range and my tabletop fantasy narrative battle game Arcworld, you can find more information on www.warplockminiatures.com. I might be streaming a demo game that I'm doing with a few people later on tonight, possibly around 6 or 7 o'clock. So if you are interested in having a look at that, I'll post more about it either on the UK Games Expo Discord will be done by then. So check out my personal Facebook page, so facebook.com/warplockminiatures. I'll post a link there. Now, before I do go, do you have any questions that you would like me to answer? I'll just give you a little bit of time to do that. Actually, just going to do a render pass. There we go, work in progress. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So thank you very much, gang. Thank you very much, Major Moore. Thank you very much, Farlian. Thank you very much, Jonathan Young. And yeah, I shall see you guys again at some point in the future. Ta-ta for now.